Hi everyone, so this is video number 2 in the breast cancer journey that I've had. So I started it a few weeks ago and then I had a little virus, so I'm just coming back on air and I know I need to be consistent with this, and I just want to say again, this is scary for me to put all this out here, but the reason I'm doing it, I spoke to a few people who have come to me who are going through the same thing recently, and I'm doing this just to help maybe one person, and if more, that's great. I know that when I was going through this, I wish I'd have had someone like me to talk to, who had tools, who had experience, who was younger, who was in the same position. I really wish I'd have had this. So it does no good being in my head. So I'm putting it out here. So I did write my second blog about this time last year. So I'm going to read it to you. And then what I'm going to do today, I commit, I'm going to set up a YouTube account and I'm going to do this weekly. There's so many topics I want to cover, from whether to go into support groups, how to get your operation table set up, what's helping me heal now after with the trauma, because anything that we go through that's life-threatening is traumatic. Everything is. So yeah, I just thought I'd read you my second blog because it's got lost in the ether, and this is important for everybody. So it's called The Void, the space between tests and results. So I just want to say again that I'm unique, we're all unique. This is my experience and no one else will feel exactly the same way, but there'll be snippets that might feel the same. And if anyone connects and gives some support, then I'm very comforted and it makes it worthwhile. So I'm just going to read to you like a bedtime story. So I won't be looking directly at the camera. So I found it comforting to identify with some people's stories and insights when I was going through a really tough time. Sometimes it was distraction, focusing on other people's stories. Sometimes it was a bittersweet giggle. There's some beautiful bloggers out there who talk about breast cancer with such humour, but the unfortunate thing is that they're in a really bad position. They're not in the same position as me. So sometimes when you're looking at other people's journeys and they're not having such success with treatment, it can really drag you down as well. I found I had to leave support groups because I was staying in the past, but I'm going to go over that another day. So I have also found that when I'm scared, I turn to humour to detract from the enormity of what I'm really feeling. And that does me a disservice because I'm not really in the moment. I'm just pushing off. And unfortunately, the last few years I've had to deal with the pushing it all back. So part of me does want to jump to the good stuff, the practical tips. I want to teach you yoga to get those tummy muscles strong and your thighs strong for squatting and all sorts of things. But I do think I need to start at the beginning. So this goes out to all of you who are waiting for test results or in that void before test results. So I want to reflect my journey honestly as well. So I haven't always been such a cool customer. I dealt with my last episode of breast cancer really well, actually, really cool, really in the moment, not worrying about it. But the first time I wasn't a cool customer at all. So my experience with cancer has taught me to be more authentic, more honest with myself, to see my fears and also to experience the feeling that I might die sooner rather than later. We all think about this. We all think about death because really it's the only certain thing in life. But it makes you think about it sooner rather than later. It magnifies it. It puts it right here in your face. So here the journey begins. I hope this is the right one. Just bear with me. Yeah, The Void. So I was pregnant when I found a thickening in my right boob. So it wasn't a lump, it was the thickening, an area about that size, just thick, just a bit hard to touch. It didn't seem to be growing much once I noticed it, and I was pregnant, and I know that boobs can do all sorts of things, but really I just didn't want to face it. I wanted to give birth to my little boy. So at the end of the birth, things got a bit traumatic. I nearly died during childbirth, lost 3 litres of blood. It was touch and go, and then later I had emergency surgery for adhesions, and then a few months later it was my breast cancer surgery. So I'm very British. I went to the doctors with a list, more time efficient. I had a great big list of things. I had my jaw was locking and all sorts of things. So they thought it was a cyst, no problem. Went to the breast institute. I had a tummy, something for my tummy to look at later. So I ended quite relaxed, not worried, and then everything changes. I had a mammogram, immediately referred for an ultrasound, had biopsies on my lymph nodes and around the breast, and I could see on the screen a little ball of white cells that were completely different to any cell around it. And I knew by the faces, I knew by the change in the atmosphere, I knew by the woman squeezing my hand, and it just tipped me over the edge, the fact that my lymph nodes were being biopsied as well, because they didn't look very good. My world literally disintegrated. And when the mind loses control, it's such a dangerous place. I was completely in the mind, I was completely in the land of what ifs. I've managed to learn to control this over time, with many traumatic experiences that I've had. But the land of what ifs, you see yourself dying slowly and painfully. Whether you know what's happening or not, you go there. You see your children having to say to others, I don't have a mum anymore, she died of cancer. You see yourself looking down on them from above, wanting to hug them when they're sad or when they doubt themselves, not being able to hold them or pick them up. It still brings tears in my eyes. But this is what you go through, you know. Just remember that people around you are going through this. You know, you think, oh, they're going to be all right. They don't know that. The mind doesn't know that. So this causes all sorts of pain and suffering. And I've written here, even as I type, I get that lump. And I don't think I'll ever get over that. And, you know, I will have to leave them one day. So I've put maybe a bit more healing for me to do there. So I did want life to go on. So I carried on doing the school run. It was summer, so I managed to put my sunglasses on. But I wanted to shout to everyone, how can you still go on living your life? Do you know what's going off with me? And no one does. No one does. So at home, I just used to sit and hold my beautiful little boy, Finley, who was 6 months old, and my beautiful Ali dog, who's no longer with me. She just was next to me. She helped me feel really, really calm. At the time, when I was first diagnosed, I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. I didn't want to see anyone's faces, because when you see other people's faces, they're scared for you and they're upset, and then that just magnifies what a shitty place you're in. I didn't want to go there. I was having to deal with my own stuff. So please, please, please respect what people say. If they don't want to talk about it, if they don't want you to see them, it's not because they don't love you or need you. It's because right now they just need some space. So please respect that. It's so important, because when you see people's sympathy, it just kicks you into that place again. So this is something that I've learned that I want to pass on to you. So when you want to be there for someone, that's your need. That's all about you. It isn't about them. So if you know someone's suffering, if you know someone needs you, just say, what do you need today? They might need to laugh, cry, swear, kickbox. They might want to get drunk. They might want to talk. We're all different. But in yoga, we accept that everything, every moment changes around us. Every second, we're a second older, a cell has died, a cell has changed, it's regenerated, a thought has come and gone, and an emotion arises, and then it subsides. So with yoga, you don't need to be yogi to listen to this, but each time we go to the mat, it's different experience. So each day in this horrible void, when we've lost control of our lives and thoughts, we need something different. Every day, we need something different. So be that for your loved ones around you. Don't think about how you want to feel needed, how you want to comfort someone. That's your stuff, that's your benefit. It might be the last thing they need. Think purely about them and ask, what do you need today? I love positivity and I'm trying to ease off being positive for everyone, because they might not need it. But sometimes in the void, you don't know that you're going to be okay. So that void between test results and knowing, you don't know that you'll be okay. So sometimes I wanted to hear it will be okay. Sometimes I wanted to hear that I'm strong, and sometimes I just wanted to scream, it's okay for you to say that. You don't know that I'm going to be okay. I'm fed up of being strong. I wanted to say all this, but I didn't. And it isn't the other people's faults. I was living in the future, and I was living in a place of fear. And you can't reason with that. You cannot reason with that. You have to rise above it. So, yeah, sometimes I just want to crumple up into a ball, stick my fingers up to the world and scream how I was tired of having to be strong. I just wanted to be able to moan about my ironing pile or the weather. I wanted that to be what was wrong in my life. So I totally withdrew after my first diagnosis. And then I started to get out and about and look normal and try and carry on. I've realised that I like a plan, and I'm trying to change that as well. I want to try and go with the flow. That's why the void's so difficult for a control freak like me. We need to know. We need to know what's happening, and if we don't, it causes suffering, pain and disconnect. So I hadn't read any of Patanjali. He's an old yogic sage at the time, but I think it's good to do it now because I want to merge this in for people who do yoga, don't do yoga, for yoga teachers, people having breast cancer, people not having breast cancer, just life, because it's still very relevant today. So Yoga Sutras are little threads and short verses of insights about yoga and how to achieve a nice calm mind, basically. So Patanjali, the author, and it's approximately 400 years AD, did an amazing job, and I'm going to relate that to my life because it's still relevant today. So chapter 1, now verse 1, now the teaching of a yoga begins. Chapter 1 verse 2, the restraint of the modifications and the mind stuff is yoga. So my translation, yoga is about controlling that crazy mind that's jumping from thought to thought, that's hurting you right now, that's causing you to suffer. So really, we catch the thought and we try and just let it go a bit more. So and my second cancer journey thing happened, it was a big op I was going through, and people I was saying, aren't you worried? And I just kept saying to them, it's not now, it's in the future. Right now I'm okay. Right now I'm okay. So my mind was calm. Yeah, the day it happened I was absolutely bricking myself, but until then it's okay, it's okay. I managed to control that mind because it was the mind that caused me the suffering and the pain. And just a little footnote to my teachers who very much helped me through my breast cancer journey a lot. It's Carolyn Clark, who jasminetrust.co.uk, Monique Fryer from Nottingham, and Andrea Kwiatkowski, santoshayoga.co.uk. So I just want to say a big thank you to them for helping me. I would love to know what aspects you'd like me to talk about first. I've got so much stuff. I've written journals, I've got diaries. There's so much stuff I want to pass on, but I'd love to know what you'd like to know, either for someone's suffering. So I'm going to blend everything. It's going to be oils, it's going to be exercises, it's everything. I haven't planned it all. I'm just going to go with it. So anything you need to know about, please let me know. But now I've got my second blog out, so now I can start afresh. All right, thanks for watching, guys. See you later. Bye.